you want to hire someone, transfer them, you'll need a position for that. Think of a position as a role to be filled, separate from the person who fills it. Employees with multiple jobs would have multiple positions. In UCPath, a position moves through a life cycle, shifting between vacant and filled states as employees come and go. A position is a unique role within an organization, defined by specific duties, responsibilities, and attributes. It's associated with a job code, department, and reporting structure. And because positions exist independently of employees, they can be vacant or filled. When an employee leaves a position, the position remains. It can be inactivated or updated and reused, depending on organizational needs. Positions are like a chair in an office or a box on an org chart. They exist whether or not someone is sitting in them. Position management ensures positions are accurately maintained throughout their life cycle, whether they are vacant or filled. The position life cycle represents the journey of a position in UCPath, starting with vacant position management. This includes creating, updating, reusing, or inactivating positions. Hiring into a position. Once the position is created or updated, an employee can be hired into it. Filled position management. Once the employee fills the position, there may be updates to their position and job data, including promotions and reclassifications. Separating from a position. Eventually, the employee may transfer, terminate, or retire, which may make the position vacant again, ready to be updated, reused, or inactivated as needed, starting the cycle again. Position funding is ongoing. Funding can be associated with or updated for a position throughout the life cycle, whether it is filled or vacant. Because position data impacts payroll, benefits, and reporting, understanding how each stage connects helps avoid downstream issues like funding errors and ensures more accurate system data. Depending on your role, you may be responsible for just one stage, or even the entire life cycle. Most departments only have access to vacant position management and position funding. Check with your units about what aspects of the position lifecycle you are responsible for. Funding is tied to a specific position number and department pair for a given fiscal year and must be added in UCPath after the position is created. If funding is not added to the position number department pair and the employee is hired into that position and paid, a suspense fund will be charged. While this ensures the employee is paid, the suspense fund will need to be reimbursed and the correct funding source will need to be charged. That could mean several additional transactions must be submitted in UCPath to ensure the position is properly funded, both historically and moving forward. Best practice: before filling a position, review the position's funding and make sure it is accurate and up to date. If it isn't, update the funding prior to filling the position. Since the funding is associated with the position number and department rather than the individual employee, it remains in place when the employee leaves and a new incumbent is hired into the same position. However, the funding allocation may require adjustments to align with the new incumbent's specific funding sources or compensation structure. Now that you know a little bit more about positions and position funding, let's talk about funding sources.